Greetings, Javans. The final goal of human beings, as we know it by heart, is to liberate, to attain the self. But there are some, I would like to point out, some wrong pointers and wrong definitions given to that, which confuses us again. Like, first is attaining the self. There is nothing to attain. Attaining means it is somewhere at a distance and you got to be victorious or to do some great thing, some feat, to go and attain it. Like Alexander the Great attained big pieces of land. There is nothing to attain, because that is what the great scriptures, the great liberated one says. Don't follow what I say. You need not have to just blindly follow what I say. Do your homework, do your own research, experiment, go study, go refer, and have a first-hand experience of it. Don't just read also. Work on it. Listen to your awareness. Live in awareness and find out these truths, and you will be amazed to see that how simple things are, but how much we have complicated things. That's why I often keep on speaking about practical spirituality. Let's become practical. Practicality comes from humbleness, from simplicity, from being direct, authentic, just going straight to the source without beating around the bush and making it seem so vast and glamorous, and making it seem also so complicated. Things are so simple. We complicate it, we twist and bend it so much that we feel now there is so much to do in this. Because then so much to undo is we make it a big process. Because that process involves us into so many different things. These are all tactics again. That is keeping us bound, without straight at entering into the point. The point is that we are already realized. The self or the soul is a pure consciousness. It's pure awareness that is in its most pristine form. This, all the mystics say that you don't have to attain or achieve or realize that self. Go and do something to realize that. What they say is just realize what is preventing you from experiencing that self. That is self-realization. When you realize that there are some aspects within us which is preventing us to experience that self. When I say, instead of saying I say, when all the mystics say that you have already attained it, you are that pure self, the question should be, then why am I not experiencing it? If I am the true spirit, true self, why am I not being able to experience it? This should be the real question, and this should be the real answer that should be sought for it. The answer is very simple. I am not able to experience myself in pure bliss and pure awareness is because there are some factors that are preventing me from realizing it. So if I am the soul consciousness, why am I not able to experience myself? Because I have been already covered. I, the pure self, have been covered by multiple layers of ignorance, what we call as the ego self. What does this contain? This contains all identities, all thought forms, all patterns and conditionings and beliefs and faiths, and what all that we have accumulated all over these lifetimes, which we all put together and make it a personal identity, a fake identity which I name as Mr. XYZ, or which I call as the syndrome of I, me and myself. I have a separate identity. This is me. And this is mine. These are mine. When you go into that kind of a experience, that kind of awareness, and you live in that kind of a space, that kind of experiences, is when we call as living in illusion or living in Maya. Because that's not the real. We have assumed that identity. And now living in that. And every day, our experiences, when we live so deeply into this false I, we are embedding it more strongly into our being, that we are this which we are not supposed to be. We all know, we say, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not my emotions, I'm not XYZ, I'm not this title, I'm not this person in the society, I'm not this personality, I'm not this individuality. Then who am I? I'm the soul. I'm not this body, I am the soul. So we are affirming there, I am the soul. Just in knowledge. It's just a philosophical statement when we say, I am the body, I'm the soul, I'm not the body. Because most of our life and the times in our life, we live in the experience of I am the body. We do everything all time, 24/7, to ensure that we are living in the experience of I am the body, I am the mind, I am my emotions. We live in that kind of experience. So once or twice just repeating, I am not this body, I am the soul, nothing is going to happen, because we are rooted in the falseness and talking about the truth. Talking about the truth, I am the soul. We are just talking about it, but we are actually rooted in I am the body. And then we are trying to say I am not the body. So to make it very simple, the mystics have just said, it is as simple as just being aware of where you are. Are you rooted in your body consciousness? If you are rooted in your body consciousness, you cannot move towards self-realization. If you want to be in the truth of I am pure consciousness or I am the soul, then you got to be living in awareness, in complete awareness that you are the soul. So the mystic says, do not agree to those circumstances where you are living completely rooted in the false I. But unfortunately, we are living all our moments in the false I, completely attached to things, completely with our own conditionings, own belief systems, which we do not want to give up. We are all saying we are moving on the path towards self, but we do not want to give up. Means every single day we are still in that full awareness of I am this is mine, my father, my mother, my son, my child, my brother, my grandfather, my spouse, my pets, my house, my work, my life, full in that awareness all the time, 24/7. But we are talking of self. Wherever your awareness is rooted completely, you are that. So if we are living 24/7 in this kind of a cocooned space where we don't even have a chance for a moment to spend with ourselves and come out of that falseness of all these identities and so much of deep attachments to all this, we cannot move or center ourselves into that space of self even for a few moments. Because we have never been taught this reality. That first you got to shift from that falseness and try to stay centered into who you truly are. For that, you need daily reflection. You need contemplation on that. You cannot achieve that state by a method or technique where you sit in the ego consciousness, use the ego to kill the ego, to kill the falseness. By falseness is completely being drowned in illusion, because that aspect is illusion. So if you are in the illusionary state, which all we are being reminded constantly, this whole existence is illusion. You move to a reality. For that, we first got to have the attention of letting go of this drama that is occurring in our life. If we are fully immersed in the drama of life, with so-called attachment, this is mine, they are mine, I have responsibility over them, I have responsibility over this is my responsibility, somebody not getting worried is my responsibility, somebody getting troubled is my responsibility, somebody taking tension is my responsibility. This is the root of I-ness. The ego consciousness. Because somewhere we are identifying ourselves, believing that we are responsible for this whole world. Somewhere we have taken up all the responsibilities from everywhere, that I am responsible for that person, I am responsible for this person, I am responsible for something that happened there, I am responsible for the world disasters. It is not a sympathetic statement when we say, oh, I feel so responsible for my world. It is just an enhancing of the ego statement, stating that I. Because I exist, this problem exists. Who said that? Because I am in this world. I got to take care of so many things. Who said that? I have told this many times, even if you don't exist, nothing is going to matter to this existence. It will always be, it has always been here, it is still there, and it will be here. Yours and mine doesn't make any difference. Whatever we think about it, we cannot save anybody. It is the ego consciousness that says that I am the savior, or we are the savior, let's save the world. Nobody can save anybody. The only person, the only one that we can save is ourselves. How? By shifting from this falseness and moving to the realness. Because the moment you realize your pure awareness, that state, everything else just dissolves in front of you. That's the mighty experience of all the liberated beings. For them, there is no suffering out there. For them, the world only does not exist. It is all dissolved. Why it has dissolved? Because the world appears only when the ego is active. Please let us understand this. When the ego is active, you automatically shift from the self and come into the ego consciousness. And the more you are in the ego consciousness, suddenly you will feel responsible. You will feel a responsible citizen. You will feel to be a responsible human. And then you will assume all the responsibilities for everybody in this world except yourself. We are responsible for our own state of growth and evolution. That we are not responsible. We don't take responsibility for that. We take responsibility for everything happening in this world. And somehow we love to live cocooned in that space. This is my reality. You don't know what kind of reality I am in. You don't know. Because in my personal consultation, people tell me this. They remind me. You're taking it so lightly. You do not know what kind of situation I'm in. How will anybody know my journey? My journey only I know. Yes, the ego knows its own journey. The one that self-pities and victimizes and say, this is what happened to me. That is the me, the I, that is crying out there. Whereas the liberated beings say, when you shift into that space where you are liberated from the ego consciousness, everything vanishes. You will, even all your personal identities, your personal belongings, your personal titles, your personal people, whom you call father, mother, children, husband, wife, siblings, enemies, friends, all that, everything will just vanish. Because in that state there is no one. The whole drama is revealed very clear in front of you, that whom you are taking to be today as so much as your dear one. And from that level, if you see, you will see that multiple lifetimes you have played the same drama in different roles. Someone in some lifetime getting attached to the same person as my wife. Next life, same person as my sister. Same person as my husband. And next life, same person as my father. And next life, same person as my son. And next life, same person as my dog. This is the drama that goes on. So the more we are identified to this drama, we can never get out of that loop. Whatever courses you attend to, you cannot, because any method which is there, that will just give you some temporary glimpses of some state of stillness. That will take you to some state of stillness, and it will make you experience, I am the stillness. You are not the stillness. You are more than that stillness. You are that eternal consciousness which you call the God Self itself. The state of liberatedness. But no, we love being in that stillness and assuming that to be realizing of ourselves. No. Realizing the self means once you realize, you're done with it. You don't tumble back down. You don't come back again to the false realities and come back again after a few days and start brooding again that I'm stuck in this world. What you experienced is just a stillness. What the mystics and the scriptures say is, don't fall in experiences, but move into realization of that experience. That is called the awareness of that self, or the realization of that self. When you realize, this is what I truly am, it's a state which you cannot tumble back from. And to attain that self, you cannot do it once in a week or once in a year, but just remembering about it and moving into that state of stillness. Because the entire other time of life you have lived engrossed in the world, being fully attached, possessed and obsessed by things in and around you which you believe to be you and yours. It's a myth, it's a superstition that we think that we can live completely in the falseness, completely engrossed and drowned in possessions and attachments to our near and dear ones. We can't think of even separating. And then next day we get up and we want to realize the self. It's not that funny game day once. Come very much close to the truth of what this whole thing is about. Chidakasha Gita repeatedly says, worldliness cannot take you towards the self. Desire, all these desires cannot take you. It repeatedly says, attain the state of desirelessness. First, it is preparing. Read the Chidakasha Gita. It expounds and pounds and bangs on your head again and again. Come to a state of desirelessness. Come to a state of detachment. You cannot have attachment. Read the Chidakasha Gita. Repeatedly it says, you cannot move ahead with attachments. You cannot move ahead with worldliness. I repeat this word, worldliness, which is in our terms materialism. Do you think the Chidakasha Gita is joking about this? Then why is it so hard for us to realize that without giving up our desires, our attachments, our obsession with people and places and things, and with the worldliness and materialism, we cannot get even close to what we are assuming to attain. The prerequisites are there. That is why only the people who are having intense desire to liberate can only move towards that state of realizing the self, because the first condition, the basic conditions, they will take care of. The basic conditions of attachment, worldliness, materialism, desires, they will work on that. They will not purposely work on that because they will be forced to work because of their circumstances, an environment which is actually nudging them towards realizing the self and liberating, because now they have reached the extremes of realizing that nothing is permanent in this world. They should have that experience, direct experience, that nothing is permanent in this world and it is all changing and ever changing. Which is ever changing cannot bring us happiness and peace and contentment forever. Because whatever brings us, whatever is changing, can only bring us changing happiness. Means temporary happiness, temporary peace, temporary stillness. The moment things change outside, we will be back to our own state. Till a person gets multiple beatings from life and direct experiences of this, it is very difficult to get into the state of intense seeking for liberation. That is why the people who are seeking liberation always have had very deep experiences with life, where they come to the conclusion that this is it, I'm done with it. And then only you can move into that space which is the self. Then only you can leave worldliness. Then only you can leave all these attachments, because attachments bring you pain. You have to realize that. From experience, direct experience. Without experience, we wouldn't know. Without experience, if we are taught, go and attain the self, it is another glamorous achievement for us. Just like we have attained worldly success, worldly honors, awards, we want to take one more award, one more title, and self-realization. We are still not ready, because our fingers, all our fingers and all our toes are still immersed in the world. Unable to leave, unable to even practically look at, I need to leave this, because nobody has spoken about it. Nobody has given the practical approach that you will sometime have to get off this. There is no single liberated being, show me one person, one self-realized person who has gone to that state with their family members, with their possessions, with their titles, with all the attachments and all that. I don't mean discarding them physically. I mean to say their mental attachment to that. One realized person whom you can show, one liberated being whom you can show, who are thinking about their near and dear ones, or worried about their near and dear ones, or worried about their possessions, what will happen about tomorrow, or worried about the new desires, how it is going to be. Any such person, it is impossible, dears. These are two contradictory places. Both cannot live together. Either you have the world and the worldliness and the attachments, or you have that self. As simple as that. It is one. You got to always choose one. It is a myth when we say that let us take our attachments and go and realize the self. You cannot realize the self. You can take your attachment, possessions, your loved ones, your attachments, your desires, and go and attain a little momentary stillness, some relaxation. But the moment you open your eyes and you shake yourself a little bit, you will come back to your attachment. And the moment you are attached to the people around, things around, and the materialistic thing, you are back into that state of consciousness, back into the illusory world. And then you will have to wait for another time to do yet another, some method or a technique or a course or something like that, to go and attain that temporary stillness and that blissfulness, temporary blissfulness, and assume it to be that state. We got to shake ourselves out of all these things. When we are talking about realizing the self, it is a very serious concern, because that is what we are here for. And for that, we need to come down to practicalities and understand that there is effort needed in the start. In the start, the effort has to be made to understand this concept, to understand what are our attachments, what are our desires, what is our worldliness, where are we stuck in, how we are attached, how strongly we are attached, how difficult it can be to overcome this. What if I leave this? What if this does not belong to me? Or what if this is taken away from me? What can be my circumstances? We have to practically contemplate, reflect on all these things. That is when we can get glimpses of reality. Then we are talking reality, real spirituality. Some realness in it. This is actual, because this is the final ultimatum. When you leave your body also, all this is going to happen. But how many of us live in that awareness? We live believing that we are going to live forever. We never think of what will happen if this is taken away from us. It is going to be taken away from us. Everything. But how many of us are conscious? Nobody, because nobody wants to be reminded. It's very scary. We would presume and assume to live in a state where we find everything is glorified, everything is good. We don't want to look into those aspects. Let us see when it comes. And then we try to achieve these goals of realizing that or attaining that, whatever we call that position, without even having second thoughts of being without those things. Just look at the mystics, their life's conditions. You will come to know the examples. Those are those mystics who never even owned anything. They did not even own their own loincloth. Somebody had to tie that loincloth around their masters because the disciples, had to protect their dignity and their embarrassment. Can you see that? Embarrassment and dignity comes from ego. So the disciples had the ego and they wanted to cover up the master to protect their own ego, their own shame. Whereas the masters, the ascended masters, had no shame because they were above the body consciousness. You can see that level where one is not even bothered, forget about possessions of others and what belongs to them. They're not even bothered about their own body. That's the state that they're living. Now, when we go into practicality of moksha or liberation, it will give us jitters because nobody wants to be in that state. Oh, this is what self-realization and above self-realization can do to me. I don't want to buy it. Why? Because we will lose our identity and nobody wants to lose their identities. Nobody wants to lose anything, but they want to attain everything. That is why we name it at attaining the self. Attaining means gathering one more. Just like Alexander gathered one more piece of land in every moment of his. It is just attaining. Gaining victory over something. Bringing back into one more possession. So we feel that title, that experience, we are going to add up into this experience. No, my dear. When you minus all these experiences, you are going to have that experience. As simple as that. You got to leave and destroy and dissolve everything. Don't even destroy, dissolve it. How are you going to dissolve it? By not living in this reality, but moving and shifting into that self-awareness and being in that awareness. That is what I am trying to say by shifting into awareness. You shift into that awareness of who you are, that pure awareness that you are, and live in that state. When you start living constantly, it's a preparatory state. Consistently, when you start living, you will understand what is the attachment that you are holding on to. You will see the things that you are holding on to. You will see that the truth of how unreal these things are and how temporary these things are. You can only see it when you are shifted into this awareness of the self. You cannot see it while you are drowned in the sea of this samsara, ocean of samsara. You cannot. Very, very difficult. So, practical spirituality is realizing this, coming in terms to reality and practicality of what happens. And where, beyond self-realization, where does it take you? It takes you to a position where you own nothing, where you are nothing, you are nothing. Look at the great mystics and you will not feel like attaining self-realization. Because there, you will see that this is a scary state. How can I be nothing? When there is so much of something that I want to be, that is desire. That's what I'm trying to say. When so many desires are there, I want this, I want that, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to hold on to this title, I want to be in this position. You cannot think of that because you got to leave everything. Because they have left all this. Look at all the liberated ones. Who has what? Nothing. So practicality, when we look at it, we should look at crude practicality and then decide, do we really want it? Then if you really want it, that's your true purpose. And that means your awakening is very true. And that means you are moving towards that. And you will achieve it today or tomorrow. But you are moving towards it very seriously, very practically. Practically in the knowing that I am not attached to this world. I am not responsible for this world. How the world thinks and all that. My goal is this, prior goal is this, and whatever I have right now, I need not quit everything. I am not a sannyasi or renouncing anything. There is nothing to renounce. Renouncing should be the ideology that I have towards this, the wrong ideology that I have towards this. That has to be renounced, and slowly it can be done. Slowly you unwind out of all this worldliness, slowly, but you need to be rooted more in the self that time. Then only you will understand what you have to slowly shed off. And as you increase your space of living in the self, in that stillness, slowly you will start dissolving and letting go easily without any pain and trauma. Automatically it will happen. It's a natural, spontaneous process, but it's a consistent process. It cannot be attained in 2 or 3 days, or 5 days, or a week, or 15 days. Impossible. You've got to be living in that space, and slowly the layers have to keep on dissolving. And as you see the layers dissolving, you know things are walking in the right direction. Because the more the layers dissolve, the more of this experience of this bliss happens. Or you can say the other way, the more of this bliss, the more of this shedding will happen. Whichever way. But this has to go. Then only you attain this. That is what is meant by you are the real self. You are already attained. All that you got to do is identify what is it that is preventing you from attaining, knowing this self, realizing or experiencing this self. So when you look around and see these are my obstacles, you don't give much weightage to it. Because now you know this is what you really want to be, the real one. And from that point, from that self-awareness only, you let go slowly of things and you remain rooted in the self-awareness. This is one deep thought that came to me right now. And I thought I should just make a video on this and share it. I don't know how correct you might feel or how wrong it is, but I say don't need to follow me or just take my words for that. But if this has appealed to you, you can go and do your more studies and find out, research, experience it, and then conclude. And then whatever you feel right, do it. Much divine love and light to you. Stay blessed.